Hi, this is Tactical Reserves. I'm Brinks.
I'm Zach.
I'm Troy.
I'm Anvil.
And I'm Chad.
And this week we have quite a bit to talk about with you guys. We are going to go over our typical hobbying, our games played, and we're going to revisit our opinions on secondaries. So I guess we can go ahead and we are going to start with some viewer questions. Chad's going to read them off and we'll kind of, say what we got to say about them. And we'll start with that and go over those. So Chad, why don't you go ahead and jump on that.
Well, I posted the topic, what's the question you got for us? And we got a lot of great response. Bo Scioto and Brandon Scioto, they're both brothers. I posted this on 2 different places and they answered from different cities with the same question. They both want to know, they say they're going to get the 9th core book. One of them wants to buy the Guard Codex. Do I get the current one, or do I wait further down the road for GW to drop something new and unexpected like they usually do? And should they need to get the Codex, but they're hesitant because it's unclear when an army is going to get recut? Like, for instance, why buy a Codex when a new one is around the corner? It puts a damper on people getting into the hobby right now. What are our thoughts on it?
Mine is don't buy a Codex unless you're going to a tournament. If you're going to a tournament, spend $5 on the GW app for a month. I'll put some links to the websites we kind of use as resources. For now, they're not perfect, but they're acceptable if you're on a budget and you need to buy models instead of a Codex when they're, when they could be reprinted. You get all the Codexes free with the $5. So that would be my recommendation. Unless you're just one of those people that want to have a physical copy, then obviously, try to buy it. Try to buy it secondhand. That'd be the other option.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows they're going out of date. You're probably going to be able to find them on sale.
And as far as the 9th edition rulebook goes, you're going to need that.
You're definitely going to need the rule
Well,
book.
Everybody's agreeing that we need the rule book.
Everyone agrees we need the rule book.
I did hear it on another podcast this week. Somebody suggested just buying the tournament pack because it had a lot of the stuff in there, and then you don't have all the lore if you don't care about the Crusade stuff.
Or the lore stuff.
Well,
or the lore.
It's
like
much 200 pages of lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it's probably a little bit cheaper, and it's definitely easier to carry around.
They're going for $35-ish. The GT pack's going. That's what they're going for on the secondary market. I just bought one. It should be here tomorrow. But.
So there you go.
That answers Patrick Ballow's question as well.
What does anybody else?
I think codexes are interesting. There's definitely a lot of lore, and they update them as it goes. So the new one's going to not have the same stuff, right? They're going to be different. So there's that. If you're into that, and also just you're really only buying it for stratagems right now. And if you can't find those, then I guess if you can find it on. But for the most part, I don't really think you need it.
Well, I think like Troy even said, if you want to be like there's just people that play D&D and they have all the old editions and stuff. So some people like to have those books. They just like to have them on the shelf and just be like, oh, remember 8th edition, and pull it out. If you want that, you can probably you probably find it cheap on eBay or another secondary or one of the Facebook groups or something. Mm-hmm. Buy one for cheap and just keep it. You know, it's like it's a relic. You can read all the lore. All that stuff.
And spoiler, go ahead.
I think it all depends on what you want to do. If you're going to a tournament, you need a copy of the book. If you're wanting just for lore and stuff, the book's going to be great. If you're wanting for stratagems and psychic powers, either the Codex or you might look at the data cards, which aren't as good now since they're not doing Maelstrom missions anymore. But you still get all the cards, and I like having the physical cards there to flip through and look through. And when you do psychic powers on certain units, you can set the cards by them. That way everybody knows what's going on.
That's actually really, really helpful.
You can just take the objectives from and throw those away. Then you got some space in your box.
Right.
And you have all your psychic powers and all your stratagems.
Yep. So it's easy to carry. You have... that's what I use a lot of my Codex stuff for, is psychic powers and warlord traits, which you don't get those in the data cards, but...
that'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice.
So Patrick Ballo threw in on that. He agrees he wants to buy the Codex, but is it even viable now with COVID stopping most of the in-person play?
I mean, me personally, unless you wouldn't be asking the question if you have an affinity for the books, I think they're a waste of money right now, unless you just want them. If you Google Psychic Awakening any army, Goonhammer has all the stratagems and all the changes on their website. If you just Google Psychic Awakening Thousand Suns.
That's one of the things, though. I would, for Guard specifically, was one of the guys' question.
Yeah.
The Psychic Awakening for Guard, the one that has Guard in it, is really good, and it's pretty current, and I don't think those are going away. with the codexes. So
No, they're not. I agree.
So
I'd say you
it's not a codex, so you're not going to get points, but the points are all outdated anyway. And a lot of the good stuff is in these Psychic Awakening books, so maybe that's like a compromise between the two. If you really want a physical copy of a book,
Yeah, get the one that's not going out of date. I mean, if you're trying to ball on a budget, it's definitely possible. Like I said, there's I think it's like, what's the one if you just search like Warhammer 8th Edition Tactics?
1D4 Chan?
Yeah, 1D4 Chan. They have pretty close write-ups. There's some wordings that get messed up every once in a
They
while.
don't just copy it. They just give you a description, kind of like idea how it works.
Well,
So-
there is a website out there that has all this information.
Well, yeah, there's definitely
Email
stuff.
the show. We'll take care of it.
I'm not going to say it, but there is a website out there that has it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the thoughts on
Not
it.
sure.
If you got the money, obviously buy it just to have it. If you are on a budget, I'd say buy models, use the internet, especially right now.
if you're not, especially if you're playing Space Marines or Necrons, we know,
Yes.
we know they're coming
In
Like,
October.
Yeah, so if you've
Just
got
wait.
those, just wait. It's
GW is
if
going to
you're
give me a
talking
good
like
Xenos army
Tyranids,
for my birthday.
Tyranids, Guard, any of those that are not top, I don't know.
Won't be here till
They're-
2021.
Yeah, they're gonna. We've already seen it. They're gonna roll out, and they're doing a lot more than they did in 8th edition. It seems like they're just really hammering with new stuff, and they're a big focus on the new codex. So it might be a while before you get it.
But I wonder whether they're going to kind of stick to the same schedule they did in 8th, because Guard was one of the first codexes.
sure.
So all, like, Orcs was one of the last ones. They got to, theirs was fairly towards the end. If you double back and then you wait to get back to Guard,
See,
Guard
that-
goes such a long time between codexes.
The problem with that is Marines was literally the last codex. They did an update, and now it's the first codex.
Well, but
so you can't
That's obviously
really
not their.
Well, but they were one of the first, the regular Space Marine
right. But
codexes.
then they released a 2.0, and then they're like, never mind, we're changing the edition.
Yeah.
So basing it off of this codex is newer. May not be any safer than anything else. You're trying to read
that's
the tea
just
leaves.
yeah, it's like, but Guard has been,
It's been a long time.
so it's like, you wonder about Guard specifically, things like, I think Tyranids was pretty early too.
I wonder about Tyranids just because they need it.
Yeah, I think
I'd like to see 'em
that's
address
all.
more.
That's way deep though to think about
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So, Brandon had
got a lot of other
Brandon had a second question. He says, "Is it frowned upon to use old models in 9th? Standard base sizes have changed for some models. Do I have to rebase models, or will the community let it slide if it's just casual play? If it's just casual play and your
casual.
friends, don't let it slide. Get new friends. Okay?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. I wouldn't let you
There's
slide.
compromise, but it depends on the model. Honestly,
The
Some
only-
things
It really does
Yeah.
depend on the models.
like some things it's just a square base, round base, couple millimeters, whatever. But like some bases,
Some models are way
like
smaller.
especially like when you come to demons, they've completely changed them. Like Magnus, the old Magnus is like 3 inches or whatever. Like obviously that's not gonna work.
If it went from like a 38 to a 40, though,
Yeah,
like, come on.
Now if you go to a tournament, you're gonna have
Absolutely.
either adapters or new
But
bases.
you can 3D print
adapters.
and it's
But it
next
is
to nothing.
It is required, so there is that. But casual play is casual play,
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, Hellhounds were like a Matchbox car back in the day.
Yeah, so
now they're
it's
pretty,
Yeah.
it's like Lemur. You don't.
The game's been around a while. There's a lot of different stuff out there.
Rule of thumb: if it's casual, you should be fine, unless it's like heinous. But like Orc Boys got an extra. They went from a 28 to a 32. And you can just keep that in mind as you're playing them. Like maybe spread them out a little more as though they were on 32s to make up for that difference.
And don't be the guy that's like, we're playing casual and then model for advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't bring a bunch of squat Marines and be like, well, they're just, and like you can't see them because they're half as tall as they're supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah,
If it's a friendly game, make sure it's a friendly game.
Yeah.
yeah.
But check with your opponent. If your opponent's not cool with it, don't make a big scene
mean-
about it. Like
Chad
played with cardboard.
I did. I had cardboard cutouts when I first started. I wanted to see if the models were good before I bought them.
But apparently that's the way the first edition started.
yeah.
Like they actually made those little cardboards that you like broke out and put together, and those were like what you fought against. So
All right, next up.
Templeton Peck, what are your thoughts on chances of Fabius Bile and Primaris Chaos?
Well, somebody shared an article today in our chat that was talking about
It was on Warhammer Community.
Yeah,
So
from
fucking
Warhammer Community that was showing the Chaos encountering Primaris equipment and saying they were essentially going to match it. So seems viable at some
And
point.
also in that article, they were saying that all firstborn Marines get 2 wounds, which is basically just Primaris.
Yeah, so I actually think it's not likely that they're going to get specifically Primaris models -1. Like, they'll show up in the lore or whatever. But the Plague Marine or regular Marines now are just, what's the difference besides the AP on their guns? Like, there's no reason to do that anymore.
Yeah, Plague Marines at 2 wounds are Primaris. I mean, they are insane. So,
And Fabius Bile had his time in the, like, he got his focus, he got his Second Awakening, and they didn't do it. So
and he got his dope model.
yeah, his sweet model, his faction's kind of meh.
Yeah.
They didn't change his rules.
I think
but-
Templeton just loves how the model looks.
Oh, the model's
And
sweet.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would just
it is a
play.
sweet
I would just
model.
play him as like another thing. Like, what's his base size? Fabius. Is he
he's
like
not-
a Lord
It's
size?
not horrible, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just play him as like
I think he
as
just
a
wants,
Chaos Lord.
wants the taller Marines. Any of us with short Marines
Yeah.
that haven't, they aren't like in love with them, want the taller.
Well, now that they're
beefier
moving
Marine.
to 2 wounds on even firstborns, it's like maybe people start converting their
yeah, just
Imperium intercessors into.
just get some intercepts and
Chaos
put some
and
spikes on them. Call it a day. Some
Yeah.
spikes.
Some
That'd be
spiky
dope.
bits.
Yeah.
Troy does love spiky
Troy is
bits.
on board.
I'm on board. Do it.
Sort of like glue some skulls.
Send some
spikes,
pictures.
We're good.
Send some pictures.
Post in the Discord.
Yeah, that would be dope, actually. All right, what's up next?
Todd A. Dunn and Dennis Gassaway both want to know Primaris Grey Knights? Question mark.
So my initial answer was yes, and then they raised. I didn't realize that Grey Knights were not going to be in the big Space Marine Codex, so probably no.
We had
Well-
this discussion at lunch randomly.
We did. There was a response. Somebody wrote on the Warhammer official Warhammer Facebook about like, hey, possibility there's going to be Primaris in Grey Knights, and they responded and they're like, we wouldn't rule it out, but we don't have anything to announce right now. So basically, they said, yeah, probably going to happen, but we're not telling
gonna do
you
anything official yet.
Yeah, we're not telling you right now.
Well,
so more than likely, at some point in time, Primaris will work their way into the Grey Knight line.
That's coming from the horse's mouth. So I mean,
Yeah, that was the
I don't think
official
we can-
40K. His Warhammer 40K Facebook responded to him and was like,
I don't think we can answer that question any better
Well,
than
they've
that.
already shown they're not going to make more regular Marines, right?
Correct.
So if they want to make more Grey Knights, they're going to be Primaris.
Yeah, the new
So
ones.
down the way, it's going to happen eventually. But I don't think they're going to get any of the old stuff. Like, you're not going to get the Indominus box or anything like that.
That'd be
Yeah.
cool if they did, though.
but they'll just make like new Paladin squads,
Yeah, they get new Paladins.
New
that kind of-
sculpts and stuff. But
Yeah.
and they'll just be the right size.
All right, what's up next?
Kayvon Coey, one of our locals, he has a 3-part question. He says there seems to be a lot of attention on Space Marines lately. What are your opinions on those who have invested in non-Space Marine armies and possible strategies or tactics to consider when playing against them? What changes do you anticipate will be implemented in the upcoming Space Marine Codex? What would we like to see? And then what codex would be next after Space Marines?
I think as far as addressing
what would we like
space,
to see next? Sorry.
well, as far as addressing how to play against Space Marines in a not Space Marine list, I think you need to scour your codex for Zach talking about Strength 5 weapons, but I think they can't just be like Strength 5 AP 0. They have to be like AP 2 or 3 weapons, or it's totally not relevant. It just doesn't matter. AP, honestly, I would take Strength 4 AP, some high AP over Strength 5, because their saves are just so good.
AP2 or more.
Yeah. If it's-
2 more is good. If rolling for
One
fives
is just-
rough.
One is not relevant. Even 2 feels like, but
If
I
they're
mean,
in cover,
you
you're putting them on a 4-up.
yeah,
It's just not.
it's so
That's
it's
good. Like, you need AP2 and preferably Strength 5 or better,
yeah,
and a lot.
a lot of it.
You need
Yeah,
a lot of shots.
Volume
that needs to
of
be
fire.
the if you're building for the meta right now, I think that needs to be the focus of your army, because that also addresses vehicles to a reasonable degree. That addresses custodes as well as you can address a custode situation. I mean, there's not a lot you can do.
AP2 is not ideal for custodian.
3 is the line for custodes.
But, yeah,
Um, and
sure. Or you could just play custodes if you want to beat Marines. Like,
yeah,
They're just better
yeah.
Marines.
you just got to play something that's either more durable than Marines, or you have to play something that's efficient at killing Marines.
Like a ton of shots.
But a lot of people are spamming aggressors and eliminators right now, so they're T5 Marines. So you really need something that can do 3 damage, like Thunderhammer style, or have lots and lots of shots.
so the highlight, I will say the highlight, I've actually been list building for every army and trying to get an understanding for them now. I'm still learning NIDS, but I would say on the NIDS, I was looking at the list, and my list ended up being, and we'll just go real quick, 2 Hive Tyrants, 2 units of Ripper Swarms, 3 max units of Termagants, 2 max units of Hive Guard, max unit of Zoanthropes, and 2 Carnifexes. And that was like my super high strength, high AP list to try to deal with them. And I basically was like, I'm giving up the Termagants, all of them, to hopefully buy me 2 turns of shooting. Like, that's what's going to happen.
we talked. The issue with that is Hive Tyrants are an 8 CP victory balloon.
They are.
Or a victory point.
Victory point.
Victory point balloon. Yeah, it's like your opponent kills a Hive Tyrant that's 8 victory points.
Yes.
Like, that's a big deal.
That was the issue I had with that list. Was you have 2 Hive Tyrants that are super high value targets, and it's a lot of your synapse too. So then your Zoanthropes have to stay by your Hive Guard to get good shooting, and then your Termagants could just run away if any of them make it. Like, the list has potential, but I don't know if it's gonna auto wreck Marines.
No, I definitely don't think it's going to.
Hive Guard are really good, and they have a lot of strength, and they're -2 and D3 damage, so they're right there where you want to be. Like, if you're gonna play NIDS, Hive Guard are where you want to be.
And you need a synapse character to park with them so they can shoot what you want.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just closest unit.
And Zoanthropes are also really good, so like spamming Hive Guard and Zoanthropes probably where you want to be.
Yeah, and also the Hive Tyrants don't have wings, so they're not flying, so they can't actually... They can still be hidden, right, from line of sight?
From
They're
line
not
of
tank
sight,
sight.
yes.
Yeah, so...
But they're not. You can't look outside of them.
No, I know you can't look outside of them, but they aren't flying, so they are somewhat hidden.
Right. Yeah. They don't have the huge wings on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think back to the original question, I don't think you actually do need high AP on all your guns. Like, you can win a game without killing anything. We've definitely been there.
That's true.
Like, if
you're more
your
durable.
army doesn't have this unit that we're talking about, or you don't want to buy the models, you can still win. It takes a lot of effort. You've got to learn how to, it's down to the movement and avoiding things and using the terrain to your advantage. It's going to take a lot of play, but it is doable.
See, I don't think you can not kill anything versus Space Marines, though, and win.
They're actually a pretty elite army. So when you start hitting them with
If you have aggressors do 3 full turns of offense in a game,
aggressors don't shoot very far. I mean, yes, it's an uphill battle by any means, but it's not unwinnable.
If you stay more than as the Space Marines player here, and I've played a lot of games, every time I lose is when I get close. And yes, the assault intercessors are great, and the bikes are great at charging, and Bobby G's a house if he's close, but you don't want to be in there with custodes up close. That's what they do. Blood Angels do the same thing.
Any melee army is going to be better than Marines.
Get in the grill of the Space Marines if you want to beat them. If you stay 24 inches away, you're going to die. If you stay 30 inches away or you're on them, you got a chance. Stay out of their range or just get in their shit quick.
Yeah, those require speed. You can't take 3 turns to get in their range.
No, you have to be in there on you have to be in there by turn 2. Or
because the intercessors are okay at shooting, but they don't really melee that great. You can get in there and chop them up. So, but
it's intercessors, yes. Aggressors, no.
But that's the thing that Troy talked about. If you have a very durable army, you can just you can do that. You can try to pick a few units off of the Space Marines while just trying to hold objectives because they're -1 AP. It's a lot of -1 and no AP shooting.
Or if you can mix, you can get some speed and a lot of durability to back that speed up. Because your speed, while it will get you points and it will affect the opponent,
it's not going to last the game.
It's probably not going to last the game.
Also, play your missions. Do better at your secondaries. Stop them from doing their secondaries. That's how you're going to have to beat them. Unless you're playing Troy's new list, which destroys Marines. So
I think just in general, Marines, yes, high AP is really good, right? But not everyone has access to that.
Yeah, I guess
you can
that's
send
true.
a bunch of greater demons in their face.
Yeah, which is high AP attacks, right?
No, not shooting. No shooting.
No shooting. But they bring the pain.
I was playing Blood Angels and got destroyed by all the greater demons. He just has 1,000,000 Thunderhammer attacks. It doesn't matter how many T5 3 wound models you have. when you're just taking thunderhammers to the dome every turn.
Yeah.
So I think the first part of the answer to this question answers John Russell's question as well. He says, since everyone's calling it an elite melta, what's the best army out there to counter power armies?
Before you go on, he mentioned what codex do we see? Kayvon's was what codex do we think?
He says, what do you want? What changes do you anticipate will be implemented in the upcoming Space Marine Codex? What would we like to see? And then what codex would we like to see after the Space Marine Codex?
What we saw today was two damage Marines. All Marines are 2 damage. Terminators go into 3
wounds.
2 wounds. Or 2 wounds.
They changed the weapons a little.
Yeah.
They buffed everything up. So
everything's getting a little tankier, yeah.
Yeah, really, like, Marines, I don't really want to see anything else. They look great.
Yeah,
I want to see other armies buff back up to that standard.
I hope what they do by consolidating all the Marines is getting rid of these like bullshit stratagems from some of these, from all of the different codexes, and then just trying to lump everything to where you have these weird stratagems that work in a weird way. So if like right now you've got to try to factor in all of the new rules with the old Space Wolves and all that stuff. So I think when they put all that into one codex, it's going to be a much cleaner army with less things that fall through the cracks. That's what I hope they fix.
Well, they're all going to get their own supplement, right? Eventually. So,
I think that's what they said, is everybody's going to get their own supplement, which is good. Yeah. You don't want all the Marines to feel exactly the same.
yeah, you definitely. Like, I think they're kind of moving that way, and that isn't great. But like the really only difference between them is going to be the Legion traits and their name characters.
But as far as K1's question on codexes go, I think Tyranids is really high on my list.
Is that what
I
you
want
want
to see next?
Yeah.
I don't think it's coming next, but after Marines, but I would like it to be.
Well, you're going to get.
basically,
I got a feeling if they're going to do them in 2s, you're going to have a Xenos or Chaos and a.
I don't think they're going to do them in
Agreed.
2s.
What do you want next, Troy?
Like, I mean, obviously the answer is, like whatever army you play, but I actually would like to see Tyranids. They've fallen way behind, and there's a really sweet army, and a lot of people like it, and I think it needs to be buffed back up to be.
Because they were nasty at the start of 8th. They actually got really nerfed hard because the rule of 3 was put into place because of them.
And the Psyker rule.
And the Deep Strike rule.
And the Deep Strike rule. All because Tyranids were just parking on your lines turn 1.
But that was just because people played 9 Hive Tyrants.
Is that what you want to see?
That one list did everything.
Amble?
I would say Tyranids probably is one of the top, maybe even Guard, because it seems like Guard is.
I think Guard is still viable.
It's
Guard's
viable.
fine, but nothing ever changes. It's the same.
I got tanks.
It was one of the first codexes, and it feels like pretty stale.
Yeah.
Like they haven't got anything.
I mean, their
think it's-
Psychic
I think
Awakening
it's
was
fun.
good.
They've got a few cool models. I mean, they got Carl Weathers, but
Yeah. What do you want to see, Brinks?
Either Nids or Drukhari. I've heard a lot of people talk about Drukhari and their line needing updated models, and I think that is that's for Drukhari and Harlequin. So I'd be okay with them getting the line update with their codex because they definitely are due.
New Catachan Jungle Fighters would be great too.
Yeah, Guard could really use some new sculpts.
Their Catachan muscle dudes are look terrible.
We're not going to get new Drukhari sculpts. That's not going to happen. They've already proven that. Our Psychic Awakening was 3 pages.
Don't talk to me about. I didn't get a Psychic Awakening in Necrons.
Yeah, you did.
Did you read that Psychic Awakening?
No. Was it more than 3 pages?
No, it had one model that already existed and no new rules.
So the last question we got was from John Russell. He says, since everyone is calling it an elite melta, what's the best army out there to counter
it's
power
supposed to be
armor armies in general? What can you build that can take the punishment armies like Arcetus can dish out and hold onto those primaries long enough to max out? So he adds a little to what Kayvon wanted to know.
The durable.
We kind of answered that. So Custodes,
Custodes, like
Death Guard.
Death Guard. I think
Custodes.
I still think Thousand Suns are viable there. I've been testing them more. I still think they're good.
It's a power armor, right? Armor army too, though.
Yeah.
Like to think of non-power armor, I think.
Like the Orc list we talked about last week seemed really strong. I don't know about staying on the points the whole game.
I think if you are planned for it, the problem with any Space Marine army is it's got so many tools in the box that if the meta adjusts to beat them in their current form, they can flip to another form, and that's why I think that's what I think makes investing in them so good right now. Is you just have such like a plethora of answers that most people don't have.
They have the army that probably has the most diverse range.
I mean, 100%.
Like Guard has a bunch of stuff, but a lot of it is kind of redundant.
Yeah, it's definitely redundant.
Yeah, and like
Tanks shoot good.
Yeah, AdMech has
like if everybody adjusts.
They're a new army, so they don't have a whole bunch. Like there are some chaos that has
See, the problem with Chaos is it really works good as soup, and they've made that really hard to do.
Soup is dead.
It's not dead. It's not dead.
No, it's not
Don't
dead.
say that.
Like, that is a thing. You could, like, you take a bunch of Nurgle demons, and then you take some Death Guard or any other
Iron
Chaos
Warriors.
Space, whatever Chaos Space Marines you want to go along with them. You will have good shooting, and you will have a pretty durable base. But if you don't want to play Marines, it gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was saying there are very few armories that have like a wide enough selection that can kind of dig in the toolbox. Some of them are just like, this is what this army does well, and it's what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. I think that Greater Demon list that Troy's been playing, he's going to have to give you all the list. But I played Blood Angels against it, and I got mopped. Like, it was exactly what I would play against Marines if I were going to go to
Yeah,
a tournament.
Zach took Blood Angels and mopped Ultramarines with it, and then played it against Greater Demons and got housed.
Just worked.
Destroyed. And I was playing, my list is not like some casual yuppie list. Like, it's a pretty good list.
3
I think.
Eradicators.
9 Eradicators.
3 squads of Eradicators, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I think...
And
like,
Impulsor, like at the end of the game, Zach had an Impulsor and like 3 TAC Marines left. That was like his whole...
three veterans. That was basically it. 3 turns. Like, it was...
I definitely think if you're going to go to a tournament and you're going to answer only one question, it should be how am I going to beat Space Marines? But I don't think if you go to a tournament and that's the only question you can answer, that you're going to win.
Yeah, because then you'll play against.
I think you have to build an army, and you have to look at it and say, how am I going to score secondary points?
Exactly.
You have to be like, is my army is it like engaged on all fronts? Am I a mobile army where I can guarantee myself 15 there? Then what? You know,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if you're past that and you're saying what, like, if you still have to be take all comers, and it's really hard to be take all comers when the range is custodes to like that Death Guard list with a bunch of Nurglings. Like, that's a really hard gap to answer all questions to right now.
and,
I
like,
think you have to go in knowing how to beat Marines. Like, you have to. Plan.
Yeah, you have. Like, that's the army you pick, and you say, well, I can beat this army.
But they're asking us how they beat that army.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're... And, like, his question is, how do you max out primaries? You're not going to, basically, unless you're playing Marines or you're playing Nurgle, Demon, like Eldar, Tyranids, Orcs, probably, Necrons. None of them are going to outlast.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
It's just not going to happen.
you have to build an army with an idea of how you're going to score points. And so you have to be...
He wants something that can take the punishment that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
and-
not...
well,
most armies aren't built that
Well,
way.
like we talked about it, like a lot of these lists are not taking a psyker so you can abort a witch.
Yes.
You just have to build that with your list in mind. Be like, that's in the back of your mind. Like, if I play with somebody with psychers, abort the witch is available. Like, you just have to, you have to have an army that has these tools at your disposal. Where if you play one psyker just because he's cool, that's one tool you took out of your toolbox.
But my point was, like, you can still easily win the game without maxing out.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be really hard to do.
But I'm saying you have to know how your list scores points, and because you're going to have to score. You just can't go rushing headlong into a Marine list in their teeth if you don't have power armor.
You got to know what beats you. Like, if you're trying to hoard, then the aggressors are going to beat you.
Yeah.
You have to bait them into putting them somewhere you want and then kill them.
Yeah.
If you're playing a tank-heavy list, the Eradicators are the problem. You don't give a shit about aggressors. So you find a way to kill the Eliminator, or the Eradicators.
I still don't think you want to get punched by aggressors, but
You don't want to, but you're not worried about their million flamers. Like, you don't care.
You definitely, eradicators are at the top of the priority. And if you don't know,
if you're playing tanks, but if you're playing 100 Termagants, you don't give a shit about the Eradicators.
no, that's true.
And with the alternative deployment, look in your stratagems and stuff. Try and see if you've got... A lot of people have the ability to redeploy.
Oh my god,
That is
that's so
very
good.
strong right now.
Yeah.
Like, just like Zach said, you just bait them. Like, got aggressors down. Well, I think I want all my stuff on the other side of the table now. And there's nothing.
You just gotta find the unit that beats you, and then figure out how to beat that, and then go from there. The rest of the army isn't like, if you take out the one unit in their army that is really good at beating you, the rest of the army is just a normal army. They just have so many things that are really good at beating very specific things.
It's true.
I agree. So, I asked another question. I wanted everybody to tell us what their main army was, and
There's
some
too
pictures.
many responses
But
to go
then
over.
we got like 50 responses with armies, and they're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
They're all very beautiful.
They're all
You guys do.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
y'all
I mean,
killed it on that.
You guys hobby, so that can take us into this week in hobbying.
Yeah.
We still haven't got there.
We still got to do this week in hobbying. So,
Go ahead, Brinks. You know go first.
this week in hobbying, I did not a lot actually. I worked on finishing up my Scorpack Lord, which is still not done, and I played some Warhammer. That was all I really did. Nothing super impressive. And I'll talk about the game I played later on in the podcast. Zach?
I put together like 6 more Eradicators because, bandwagon.
In like 10 minutes, by the way, without instructions.
They're easy build. I mean,
Look.
Easy to build.
Okay, look.
We don't all take 16 hours.
Yeah, I think that's about all. I started painting on the rest of my Terminators for my Lars Terminators. Other than that, that's about it.
Troy?
build some bolsters.
I got some Keeper Secrets in the mail, so I started working on them. I really got into the details and basing on the first one I had, and a lot more detailed than I initially thought.
Down a rabbit hole, huh?
So I got 3 of them now, and I get work on the second 2.
Nice.
Is that it?
What about you, Anvil?
I painted, primed and base coated 2 impulsors and 9 eradicators and blade guard veterans and stuff for Zach. So I got that stuff done. I've 3D printed some smoke trails for impulsor or for Inceptor squads to see about getting those mounted.
Bases for Troy.
I made a couple bases for Troy, and I have purchased 15 aggressors and 9 eradicators.
Also, bandwagon.
Part of the problem.
I'm going to try the Death Watch out. So
If you want to know how to beat the problem, we're going to work on it. We're all going to play it.
Yeah.
So
we'll have an answer for you.
Jam giant demons down their throat.
Well, I'm going to work on my Death Watch army a little bit. So that's, and I got an impulsor because Zach put out the call for impulsor a couple weeks ago, and somebody came through, so I bought one, assuming it'll go into Death Watch. So I'm gonna start working on that next.
Right on. Chad?
I painted swords on my Assault Intercessor's lead belcher, and then now I'm working on the blood splatter details, and I went shopping for plastic totes and magnets and sheets of metal because I want to magnetize all my entire army. I think it'll be easier to transport that way. I've watched a lot of videos about it, and I'm only like $70 into the project. I think it's only going to cost about $110 to magnetize my entire army, which is not a lot of models, but it'll make them way easier to transport. But
All right.
I have the paint itch now, and I need
Feeling good about it?
I need to buy some Mephiston Red so I can stop borrowing it.
Yeah, you should do that.
Well, I bought some nice droppers too off of Amazon to put my
Nice.
paint in a dropper.
But I mean, we had like 50 responses from people in this article, especially like one guy posted a video of doing a 3D.
Yeah, no, they definitely
Like,
look
it's
good.
Everybody that replied to it, like, we can't call you all out by name or we take an hour, but like, keep it up. Like, I want to see him next week too. Like, some great looking models. It gives me the itch to paint, and I need that.
Yeah. So, let's do the games we played this week.
We played a fair amount, actually.
Yeah, I think, how many games did we get in total?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 9. About 9 games this week between all of us.
So, we've been on the 9th edition grind. We're trying to keep up on it. I wish we had more different armies to play, but yeah, we're kind of limited. So, I think 2 of us got games in. You played against Eldar, didn't you, Troy?
I did.
Okay, I played against Eldar as well. So, we got an Eldar game in.
Well, I got like half a game.
Same here.
So you add them together.
Yeah, we got one Eldar
One
game
total
in.
game against Eldar.
I played against Eldar, Dark Eldar.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm hoping we can get him to bust out. He's also the guy that has all the Tau. So, I'm really hoping we can get him to break out Tau soon so we can get some test games in. I don't think it's going to be super duper relevant to the way the meta changed. I feel like Tau are just in not a good place.
I think we kind of skipped over. They might actually be one of the armies that could get on objectives and hold them for a while.
We just don't know yet because we haven't played it. We haven't tested
But like
that.
Riptides and are hard to kill, and anything like they can give any of their mechs a 4 vulnerable. So like they might, like that's just a little back to what we were talking about. But they might actually have an opportunity.
And they have things like crisis suits that can fly and be super.
So
Yeah,
they're one of-
I've heard
they're one of
about.
the lists that we haven't tested too much, and I don't think like a lot of the tech's out there yet because 9th edition there aren't that many tournaments and everything.
Well,
Nobody's taking Tau.
and the old version of Tau was the opposite of what you want to do right now.
Yeah.
So like you have to totally change the way the army plays while still keeping the most powerful parts about that army intact, and that's really hard.
If you're a Tau player out there that listens to the show every week and you've been playing games in 9th against Marines, because that's what everybody has, let us know.
Yeah, how's it been going?
How's it go? Like, we need to know.
Like, Riptides can be mobile now. They're not affected by the heavy ability. Like, that could be a thing. It could be the same list, just run your Riptides up the middle of the table. They fly.
Yeah.
So it could
No,
be.
it could be. It could be, but then you can touch a Riptide with
Well,
it, and you get rid of the
yeah.
greater good bubbles, so...
There's always a then, but
No, I think that's fair. That's fair. But anyway, let's go over... who wants to go over their game first? I'll go over Roscoe and my game second.
I can do one real quick.
All right. Let's hear it.
I got dumpstered by Chad.
All right. Yep. Admec's bad. We know.
It started off. I attempted to.
you said real quick.
As I say, I attempted to not move forward as far. I've been trying to push really far forward and get objectives. I was like, I'm not going to push forward. I'm going to hang back. I'm going to shoot some stuff and then move forward slowly.
You did that.
And I did that, and all my stuff died.
I rolled a 12-inch charge and
Through woods,
and I needed a 12-inch charge, and I got there. Bobby G
cleaned off a whole
did some
objective
work.
of 3 units. So
Yeah, well,
And that was the whole game.
pretty much. So
I maxed out all my.
I scored 8 points. I scored 8 points the entire game.
I scored 84.
I scored 0 primary points.
It was
0.
it was bad.
So
It was.
you should have
It was
moved those
tough
guys
to watch.
one less inch forward, and you would have been just fine.
well, yeah, I put him into an objective, and he was back behind the woods. I'm like, well, I got 2 turns to avoid Bobby G. Nope.
Nope.
Sometimes the dice giveth. Sometimes.
Was he playing with a real Bobby G or like an imaginary super buffed Bobby G with all the rules?
Yeah, the rules
no.
right this time.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a 10-inch charge through the woods. So it's -2, but he has +1 because it's Bobby G. So he needed 11. to
11,
get
I
him. He's
rolled
like,
boxcars.
So I was like,
All right.
Can't do better than that.
yep.
Sometimes that happens.
little
Sometimes you get pooped on.
And then I played Troy with Drakari. We can do that one real quick. I also got dumpstered. Troy pretty much killed. He what's the name of your guy?
Okay.
Fight twice guy.
Oh, Drazahar?
Yep.
The elf, the myth, the legend?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
So I blew his transport up on the first turn. I was like, all right, got rid of his transport. This guy went slog up the board, and Troy just ran up the board and murdered everything on that side of the table. I never killed him.
Yeah. He had like 1 wound.
And
for
then
the
the
whole turn.
Talos killed everything on the other side of the table, so that's how it went.
Problem was, the Talos got to shoot and melee,
On the first turn.
Yikes.
which is not where you want to be when you play Talos.
Nope.
So avoid that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
fair.
lesson of that game.
Avoid that. So, yeah, it went pretty rough. I never killed the Tazahari. I put all my shooting in the back corner into him, and then charged him and fought him, and then twice. Nope.
I will say, I've been looking into AdMech. I was like, they can't be that bad. Like, the whole internet can't be wrong about AdMech. Like, this has to be a fluke. And there were some people talking about getting the cavalry guys to get the free move. They can apparently charge, and they can back out of combat for free and charge every turn.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, that's insane. So
The
they
problem
basically lock you on your line by only
Well-
letting you, like, melee them. Like,
Well-
it's relevant.
The problem is not really like if you charge into their line, like yeah, you jam them up for turn, but they just fall back and shoot them off the board.
Most things can't do that.
Yeah.
No, like your other things shoot them, not like
Wow.
you have more units than the one that's in combat.
Right.
That one falls back, and then they only.
But,
have,
but then they're
their
shooting
team-
at it with bad stuff because you've locked up all their chaff. Like, that's essentially the conversation, and it's valid. Like, that is valid, and I've
a
never
lot of
seen you
times
do
they
that.
can't. I ran them up the board every single time, and they've just been obliterated.
I mean, I've not seen you touch a line yet, I guess, with them. You just park them
can't
on
get there.
objectives.
He's not making it.
People are doing it. I don't know.
I get a 18-inch move,
Yeah.
and then you get whatever you get for your turn. If you get 12, and then hopefully you can charge. But a lot of times,
Well, that's 30 inches.
There's no way you can't get there.
30 inches definitely will get there from any board.
All the deployment zones are 24 apart. Also.
But if he gets there on the first turn, he's there, and then they just die.
No.
just die.
He charges them,
yeah,
and
then
they're probably not going to Overwatch.
Uh-huh.
And then
he
most of
doesn't-
these units aren't that tough at hitting, so then they're going to back up and they're probably going to shoot them maybe that turn, but they're shooting with eradicators, because their other stuff, usually, if we're talking about Space Marines, their aggressors are in deep strike, and their eradicators don't have high volume of shots, so like they're not going to kill all of them. You
They
take
just kill them with a squad of intercessors.
the intercessors were probably in combat.
Well, I can't get them all into combat. That's the thing. And they're only T3, and they have a 4-up save.
Yeah.
So they just get... The problem is they get bodied pretty quick. And then I think the main issue I've been having is... I've been playing Breachers as my troops. You only take 3 in a squad, because they're pretty expensive. I only have 3 bodies.
Yeah.
So when I go take an objective, I have 3. If I just get charged by intercessors or anything, they come in with 5. I kill one. I can't control
He'll
objectives.
just lose that objective.
Yeah.
Just with objectives secured, because they just have more bodies than I do.
Yeah.
So the next step would be try to play Vanguards or Rangers, put them in boats, and go park boats on objectives, and when they get out, at least I got 10 bodies.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just was reading strategies this week, and that's the common thing they're doing is parking them all on the opponent's line and stopping you from scoring for at least basically turning off your first turn, and your second turn you're not getting that far. So you get 2 turns to position before they can come to midfield.
That's only a stratagem if you win the roll.
That's true.
Because if you
But
run,
they still start 18 inches up, so they at least stop the midfield.
but then they just die. That's the thing. They just get shot the board. That's why you can't. They're either good, because if you can move them 18 inches up and put them in cover, but
So I played 2 other games after feeling on my high horse. After that,
Yeah.
they did not go well.
How'd they go?
Well,
what happened?
They were both against Zach. One was against Blood Angels, and impulsors carrying Blagar veterans and a captain is a thing, turns out. And I just blew out one of those impulsors on the first turn. That was in my stuff. And I was like,
So you let him get out for free?
Smoked it. I smoked it, and then nothing died. And a Blood Angels captain gets like 10 attacks.
Look at heroically intervened, right?
I don't remember exactly.
I just know
I think you heroically intervened and killed all those bikes on your.
I definitely killed all of them.
One captain
I think it was on his
killed all of my bikes in one turn.
Yeah,
one combat.
yeah.
One combat, dead.
Zach didn't, or Chad kind of came late to the 8th edition party, kind of after the Blood Angels
Yeah.
Madness.
had kind of subsided a little bit, so he was unprepared for what a real slam captain can get.
He brought those impulsors in. I was like,
Now do you see why we talk about Bobby G feeling expensive for its melee when a freaking slam captain can bring that kind of pain?
he brought the pain. And I was like, it can't be that good. So then I ran my slam captain in there, and then they had a standoff, and he lost that too.
Chad was like, "Look at my slam captain. It's the same. It's got a thunder hammer. It's got a jetpack. It'll be fine."
So I got Thunder Hammer 3 up invulnerable, and he
Yeah, it turns out Zach's got 3 of them vulnerable, but wounds on 2s, and has 6 of field no pain.
And way more attacks.
He had double my. I had 5. He's like, I got 10. It was bad.
Well, it's 6 plus D3, but
That game was closer. I chose a poor secondary in that one. I took engage, and I engaged for a turn, and then my guys died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the second game I played against Zach he was playing Custodes, and I thought I had him, and then I got Vin Dieseled about turn 3, and it was not great.
And it all boils down to you didn't fight with Bobby G first.
Yeah, I again in that game I made a 9-inch charge with Bobby G.
Everyone listening to the podcast, anyone in the room was like, that was a bad idea.
yeah. So here's the situation: there was an objective on the side of the board, and Trajan and Chad's lieutenant
And my captain.
and his captain were locked into combat with some assault intercessors were over there fighting Trajan.
No,
It was Trajan and 1 custodian guard, and he ran assault intercessors, a lieutenant, and a slam captain into Trajan and the one guy. But my bikes were close because I was going to swooping dive Bobby G when Bobby G went in there.
and then Bobby G came first, and I
then
made
Bobby G ran into my bikes.
So Zach was like, "Oh, well, that's actually
That was a good play.
a good
I was
play."
like, totally took me off because I was going to use my free stratagem from Trajan. I was like, I already have it all planned out, and then he charged my bikes. I was like, well, that sucks.
and Trajan, and then I'm like, well, Trajan is the threat. I'm going to use my lieutenant who had a relic blade +3 -5, and I didn't kill him.
Of course you did.
Turns out we had 2 left, and then turns out I should have fought with Bobby. I'm like, Bobby
well,
G can live through this.
and Chad had killed a bike.
Yeah.
So Zach has
on
a
the other
stratagem
side.
on his shooting phase. So it turns out Zach has a stratagem where all that unit get an extra attack.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that stratagem.
I was playing smart. I hid my eradicators in a building. I'm like, this is the turn. I'm gonna bring them out. I'm gonna shoot those guys, get them low. I took out a bike with them. Bobby G's gonna make it. Look at that. I roll well. He's in there. He's thrown off. He's like, I didn't think he was coming. I'm like, this is gonna happen.
He didn't fight first, so he
did
got
not fight
speared.
first.
You got that hyped up, and you're like, you know what? My guy with the big sword, he'll be fine.
I was just all, let's do this, Leroy, and went in there, and it was bad.
Didn't leave.
So I interrupted and killed Bobby G. Bobby G didn't stand back up.
Yep.
Again, 5 games.
0% on the Bobby G
0%
after they changed the command point.
After
He did fight in death and take out like 2 or 3 bikes.
I did take out
He almost killed that whole squad of bikes, but it doesn't matter because the bikes are not important in that custodies list. It's all about the Terminators.
And that's where the game turned. That game also, I chose my Secondaries poorly because we played a strategy out of the book. Our mission was no man's land, so we couldn't deep strike, and we couldn't deploy out of our deployment zone. So my Inceptors were just on the table, and so was one of my Slam captains, and my scout. Everything was on the table. I mean, it hurt him too because he deep strikes some stuff, but I was going to engage and Heidi or repair teleport Homer, and I could not.
That specific mission's really good when people can't deep strike behind you, because that's how you beat custodes, is make them go backwards.
Yeah.
If they get to walk forward the entire game, it's really
It was
hard
my
to do.
entire plan, and then before we could even put models on the table, my plan was
Just
I had to
jacked.
audible, and I audibled poorly.
As I say, we mentioned it to you before you started. It's like, that was a bad idea. And you're like, no, I got this. Like, we didn't just leave him out there to...
Typical Chad confidence.
Yeah.
Says it with all the confidence in the world. I've run the numbers.
We don't just leave people out to dry. At least try not to.
Yeah, the custodies list, I think I'm done tweaking on it. It's down to 1 Telemon that's playing, 2 squads of Terminators. Terminators are just the best things.
You're not going to go to the 20?
I'm not going to do the 20 Terminators. I don't think you need quite
come
that
on.
many. I have a squad of 5 and a squad of 3. It's
The question is, do you own 20 Terminators?
I don't, or I would at least try that list.
And they were hard,
I was like, that's the zackiest shit
and they
ever.
were
If he
hard
owned
to come
20
by. Like Zach was buying them off people who didn't have them.
8 or 10 of them right now.
8.
I have,
There was
I-
8.
I
There was
have
8 in the
12.
list you played against me.
yeah, I have 12, so I have 1 full squad if I wanted to do it. Yeah. But 1 Telemon's all you really need. Ever since I took away the half damage stratagem, it's been meh. It's not as good. It doesn't put out the damage it really needs to justify the points.
So most people just ignore it.
Even
He goes and he stands on objectives and shoots some stuff.
He derps.
But I mean,
That's pretty much all it's ever done for me.
That's
but the
pretty
model's
good.
sweet.
the only thing, because you want me every week to tell you guys, because I'm the newest one, what I learned from this, and we learned that I should have just took, because we're going to get into the secondaries, I should have took the secondary that involves control in the middle, because the mission strategy was control the middle, and you get 1 for turn 1, 2 for turn 2.
Yeah.
If I would have just had the
Stack
one in my
that shit
deployment
up.
zone over here on the left, and then put Bobby G and my army just on the middle objective, he doesn't want to come there. I mean,
Chad,
I would.
Chad went...
Terminators are sick.
Yeah.
But-
Chad went like Redcoats revolutionary style and just put a whole line across the front and just tried to march forward against Custodes.
and he
And they were like, yes, please.
Another thing, what he should have done was like pick a side and kind of stick to it.
I should have
Yeah.
redeployed all to one side and then just held this back in the left and then made the game about the middle. Because he would, if those are my strategies, my secondaries, the missions control the middle and my control the middle, like 2 of them are control the middle, he has to come stop me or I'm just going to get 30 points.
But you should have. Also, your captain and your lieutenant were together, just walking around
I
together.
could have split them, especially after turn 2 when Bobby G was over there too. It was just
Yeah, that's a
it's
lot of vulnerable points.
He had a captain, a lieutenant, and Bobby G on one side of the
So your
board.
rerolls
somehow.
were just wasted.
So
Yeah.
you get all that extra reroll aura for no reason. That kind of was bad.
All this boils down to he didn't fight with Bobby G first.
yeah.
Like odds
Fight
are,
with the best model in my entire.
it wasn't going to matter. He was going to die.
Bobby G.
But he
might
had
not
a
have
chance
died.
to not die if I fought with him first.
Well, if he killed all but one bike, he probably would have lived.
And if he fights,
That bite gets-
even if he doesn't, he
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if it gets, 3, because how many bikes would
There was
they?
4.
I'm playing.
Even-
I'm playing
even-
5 bikes.
he killed
There
him
was
before.
even
There's
if he
one that was
doesn't-
dead, so there's 4 left.
So he
He
had
kills
20
2
attacks.
of them. Definitely not going to kill the PUBG.
Ooh, I don't know.
Not with just the bikes, though. It would have took something else with the bikes to
I don't
kill
know.
PUBG.
You got 3 extra attacks from each bike.
Right.
That's a lot of attacks.
Yeah, but even then, like, Chat definitely gets the squad when he fights.
Because then when he dies, he definitely wipes out the rest of the
And
squad.
they can't fall back and shoot anymore, so they're pretty much out.
Because
I can fight, because I get to fight twice at that point. You know?
yeah.
So you get the squad
You
at
would've
least
rolled
for a
more
turn,
dice, so
and most
maybe you
likely
would've
wipe it
stood
out.
up.
But yeah, maybe I would have stood up ever. Please, just one time.
Yeah, he was too ashamed to stand back up. He was like, I didn't.
I did it
I
wrong.
had this big flaming sword. I got in here. I was supposed to be what I do, and then I stood here when got speared.
Got speared. I played against Eldar this week. I played the Thousand Suns list again. I made it. I made changes. I'm down to double patrol. So I took a demon in the chaos. I switched to Alpha Legion. Took the demon because I really like Troy's point last week in Death Guard that it's both a psyker and a reroll. So when you combine those points, and I played it without wings because I don't want it to actually be at the front. So 160 points for a psyker and a lord, pretty good.
If you're not playing Thousand Suns, you probably have to take him just because of the value.
Yeah, I still think it's there.
Like, Exalted Sorcerer is infinitely better and cheaper, but Demon and Prince in the normal Chaos Space Marine armies, it gives you rerolls and psychic abilities. It's just too good,
Yeah.
even at the points.
Yep, I agree. At 160, and I played him with an axe, so if anybody brought anything heavy up, I could bring the pain
The
still.
relic can opener.
No, not the relic, because he was Slanesh. So, and it was all Alpha Legion Slanesh. Then I played a unit of 10 Marines. I went up to 10 from 5 because the Marines actually feel pretty good. And I brought 2 of the Heavy Reaper Cannon, which it's not like the best gun. It was my closest answer I had to T5. So there's 2 of them. They're heavy 8, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage. It's a decent gun. For not a lot of points. So it's heavy 16 in that Space Marine unit, so it can clear out like low toughness models really easy. And if it's a T4 model, the AP one is probably enough between the extra conversions. And if I really need to kill something with that unit, I can veterans it, impressions it. There's just a lot of versatility there, so I liked that unit. It felt pretty good. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that exact loadout, but I liked it. Played 3 Obliterators. They're insane. They killed 2 of the... What's the Eldar transport again?
Wave Serpent?
Wave Serpents. Killed 2 Wave Serpents on the first turn. Mostly because he went first and he parked them on me. So Obliterators are bananas because I shot, killed one, shot, killed the other, and then I used the Marines that were screening for the Obliterators to clear all the chaff that was inside the Wave Serpents. And it was very good. And Conceal is crazy. It says you pick a unit, they just can't shoot at it unless it's the closest unit, not the closest Chaos Marines unit. So you're pretty much guaranteeing now you get 2 turns of shooting with Obliterators, and that's pretty much enough versus most armies if they're actually shooting to have a significant swing in the game. Just because they're going to kill at least 3 things if you shoot twice with them once and shoot again. So I'm really happy with them. And I'm also on the fence about trying the Helldrake as a Chaos thing. I'm seeing if there's any more tricksy things I can do by putting him in Chaos. I was thinking about making the Helldrake, move it to Chaos. I don't know if I can make it Khorne. Can you make the Helldrake have like a...
Yeah.
So make it Khorne and then let it fight twice if I really want it to?
I think that's only infantry, though, right?
Is it infantry? That's why I said I don't know. I've been thinking about... I've been moving him back and forth trying to see if there was a way to abuse him because he's not abusable in Thousand Suns, but he is really good because I definitely flew 30 inches to a unit he just kind of had parked. It was his Shining Spears, and I Bale Flamered the shit out of his Shining Spears, and it's nice. Like it still feels good. T7 and the Invuln is still really, really annoying. So I've been happy with that. Then my second patrol was Ariman and Exalted Sorcerer, both on discs. A unit of 10 rubrics and a unit of 19 rubrics, and I gave the aspiring sorcerer in the unit of 19 rubrics the jump ability so that I don't have to be close to anything. I can just jump them all over the board, so when people try to move around and stuff like that, I actually have answers within the unit. I don't have to follow it around with an exalted. I did the Perfidious Tome again, I really like that. I still think it's good. Even risking giving my opponent one on a 1, at least I've got a 50% chance of getting a 2 CP every turn instead of 1. It just feels better than a 5-up for some reason. Like, and my opponent controls the terms of when I can roll a dice to get the 5 up. So I don't know. So far I'm liking it, but I could see going with either one. I played the Dark Matter Crystal as well, and obviously it's still good. And I played the max size of Scarab Occult Terminators, and I played one of them with their Soul Reaper Cannon, which is heavy 4, strength 5, AP -3, damage 1, and that's nice. So I was testing that. I like that, and they don't have a penalty for moving and shooting. That's built into the unit. So those guys felt awesome. Like I said, Helldrake is still the truth. I'm still happy with it. Like, I keep expecting it to be bad, and people keep just not killing it because it's like just low enough value that you can't focus on it because of the bounce around Marines and Terminators and Obliterators that you really don't want to focus on it. But then, like, when you park it in the front and you're like, conceal my Obliterators, like, everything has to shoot at that anyway, and it's only 150 points. Like, I don't care if it does die, and if it doesn't die, it just absorbed a bunch of needless firepower. So I'm pretty high on the model, and I like the list. So he came up to me on the first turn, kind of tried to park everything on my line and box me in, and I just killed everything. Like, the Obliterator shot twice. The rubrics, I went ahead and moved and warp timed my rubrics up because he had a... I can't remember what the name of the model is, but if it's within line of sight, he can overwatch you with everything within 6 inches of its bubble. Shadow Seer, maybe? Something like that. It's one of the HQs, and that's like a stratagem it can do. So he essentially had 2 giant bubbles of area. So I couldn't really dark matter or jump at first. So I just warp timed and got double move, cleared up everything that got close that was small with my Marines, and cleared up the big stuff with the Obliterators and the Terminators. And I flew the Helldrake back to the stuff he was trying to protect, Bale Flamed it, and I feel like I killed, like, I think on the first turn I killed 3 of the vehicles, all but one of his units of infantry and his Shining Spears. Like, it was bad. So he had a rough game. He didn't know how to play it. We looked at it after the game, and the hindsight answer was stay 36 inches away from my army and use your not overwatch, but shoot bubble to protect me from dark mattering or sorceress vacating across the board to get into range, because then you can just get a free shooting phase on me and decimate my units. That probably would have been the right answer, and it probably would have changed the game. It would have slowed me down significantly. So
36 inches away on a 60 by 44 inch board is not the easiest, though.
That's true. That's pretty.
No, it's not, but it's more viable than parking them and making me not have to even move with anything if I didn't want to.
You, but...
So that happened, and then also I deployed my army aggressively. I put out a Rubric Marine squad way up on his line to try to make him change the way he deployed, and then he won the roll, and I got to redeploy. So that was really nice because that's the Warlord trait on my Sorcerer. So that was also amazing. Being able to deploy ultra aggressive and then redeploy is pretty insane.
Yeah, I've done that twice now. Mine cost 2 CP or 3
CP. Well, I spent CPs to like move stuff up. So like I wasted 2 CP before the game, but it was still worth it to be able to back off. And then I think he thought because I backed everything up that it was like bad for me. And so that's why he tried to box me in. But either way, fun game, felt good. I'm still on Thousand Suns. I think they're good. And we can go ahead and go to secondaries, I guess.
Well, Roy played against Eldar too.
Yeah, I guess you did play Eldar too. But
yeah, it felt a lot better for him. He had a lot more Dark Reapers than he did against you, but also, yeah, like he killed Cuber Secrets on the first turn, and he killed all 3 of them by the end of the second turn.
Wow.
He's got a lot of shooting, and he just blocked his tanks and stuff with his Wave Serpents, so...
He learned from what he did against you.
Yeah, that was after he played me, so...
Yeah, basically he's figured out that you don't have to move forward and take the whole board on the first turn.
Yeah.
Like, it's a 5-turn game, you can wait and then move up after you've kind of... Like, my army is very aggressive, right, and it's trying to take the middle of the board.
Troy's been preaching that.
But it's not very durable. So if you play a durable army, or like a shooting army, you don't have to take the middle of the board.
You just got to chip away before they touch you. Because if they touch you, it's bad.
After every game I play, he's like, you know why you lost, right? Because you tried to get busy.
Yeah.
You don't have to get busy that early.
You only need to hold 2 or holding more.
I do not know who the beatdown is.
If you hold 2 and shoot them off of 1 or 2, and you don't have to, you get your 15 just by holding more.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with even scoring at parity. Like, you don't, as long as you're at parity and you're not taking a massive score loss, I don't see anything wrong with that.
If you're getting 10 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then all it takes is one turn of 5 points difference to swing it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
If you're getting your secondaries, which pretty much it needs to be your focus, is getting your secondaries and keeping up on primaries. That'll win you most of your games.
Yeah. I totally agree. I was telling Frosco that. I was like, there's nothing wrong with us being at parity. I was like, you could have picked one other point and put us in my best case scenario, which would have been warp timing a unit to another objective to put us at parity. So I was like, and then you have way more control on range in that game.
I think he's learned already. We didn't get to finish the game. He had some plans and had some things to do. So, but he killed all 3 keepers and knocked the Lord of Change, but the Fate Weaver. I was pretty low on models. I was a little ahead on points. I still think he would have got it just as the way the turns would have played out. He still had, I think I killed 1 Fire Prism, or maybe it was close to killing a Fire Prism, and 2 Wave Serpents. That's about it. So he was.
He had a lot of models left.
He still had 2 Fire Prisms and 2 Night Spinners.
Damn. Oh, so he played Fire Prisms as well.
Yeah.
Okay, he wasn't playing Fire Prisms versus me either. It was.
And the Dark Reapers were just unchallenged, and the -1 to hit on terrain doesn't affect them, so there's nowhere to hide. Things shoot just about everything.
Yeah. Well, just versus the one unit he played on me, I was definitely like, yeah, they're -1 to hit. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's good. All right, let's move into our main topic this week, which is secondaries. We're gonna revisit it. We've been playing a lot of games. We probably got collectively 30 games in
At least.
since the secondaries conversation. And obviously, we're not going to go over every single secondary. We're just going to talk about the ones that are really good to us and see how they play. I will say I did take the one where you pick 3 units.
While we stand,
While we stand, we fight. I took that one too, even Thousand Suns, because 2 of them are characters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we totally underestimated how good that one is.
That's where I want to start. Like that one is.
it's good in everything.
It's ridiculous.
It's not good in everything. It's good in a lot.
Not good in everything.
It's good in a lot.
I think in my army, I take it every time. Like, I don't even look at. In my army, I'm like, I can protect these 3. That's what I'm gonna. We talked about how we gotta make sure we can get 1. No, at least 1 you can take going in, and I'm like, well, no matter what, even if I'm struggling, I know I got that one. I might wind up with the mission and something else, but I'm taking that one.
And the way we've seen from secondaries, just getting 10 points out of the secondary is a
good.
lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah, 8 is still a safe number to bank
15,
on.
like ITC, you just generally, like 8th edition, getting 15 in your secondaries was pretty easy. It is not easy in these new ones, and the way they're grouped up, and just getting, if you can get 8 to 10, that's like the sweet spot. That's where you want to be. And if you get 15, things are going great.
If you get 15, you probably won the game because you're way over scoring secondaries.
Yeah, things are going great.
Yeah.
These are a lot harder and a lot more diverse.
I think thin the rank, or not thin the ranks. Raise the banners is a trap.
I told you don't think that until I told you like 8 times.
I've tried it 3 times
He got
now.
multiply trapped in the.
I have been trapped multiple times. It is a trap. I've scored no more than 4 ever with it.
I feel like Raise the Banners is not good.
Yeah.
With the way objective secured works and the way that like once they have it, it's gone. You got to do it all over again. And the mobility of the armies that just in general that we're playing, but I assume that most people are going to be moving towards.
Yeah, it looks like movement's definitely a
like
thing.
even as a Nurgle player, like I was just like whatever, I'm just going to throw it up and they're not going to knock me off of it. But it is doable. Like and you getting 1 or 2 points a turn is like whatever. Yeah, you get them at the end. But unless you have like the 3 in your deployment zone,
It's really hard.
it's really hard to get like a large number of points out of that.
I could see that. I will say that I know Anvil was talking about don't just take one psyker in your list because it's neat, so that you can take a Bore the Witch.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, a Bore the Witch is not going to just win you a game necessarily, though. Like when I was playing my list, I've got most of my psychic stuff pretty insulated to where it's hard to kill.
Your Marines are worth 2 points.
Yeah, I know. It's the one aspiring sorcerer.
No. The whole squad is
It's a whole squad is considered a psyker.
All right. It says every model, right?
Every model.
Let me
There's only one psyker in the unit.
Is a psyker unit. That's what I was saying earlier.
Oh.
If you pull the sergeant, the unit.
The unit has the psychic keyword, psyker keyword.
So the unit is what counts.
Let me read.
But I'm pretty sure like each, because that's why I don't play horrors. Each horror is worth 2 points.
Oh. See, I think the rubrics
No,
are
it's units is destroyed.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, it's psyker unit.
unit.
But
So
the
yeah.
unit is worth points.
Yeah, but then that's saying you're especially now that they're going to go up to 2 wounds apiece. That'd be crazy. You're shooting through 20 to 40 wounds for 2 points. I don't know. I'm saying if you have a good psyker in your army and there are spells that are relevant to you, don't not take that psyker to take Abhor the Witch.
But like Librarian Dreads are really good in Blood Angels. But is it worth taking a Librarian Dread when you could just take another captain? Then you have access to Abhor the Witch when you play against Grey Knights or
That's fair.
I agree with that. I think
Librarian Dread is like a really good psyker, but it's you're not going to play more than one.
Yeah, unless your army is built around like some interaction or buffing some stuff.
Well, like if I'm playing Astro Militarium, I'm still taking Astropaths.
I agree with that.
Okay, and they're not like crazy, but
But they serve a purpose. They're super cheap, and Guard's good at scoring secondaries in general. So.
But yeah, but Zach builds his list kind of around that. He's like, I'm gonna play this so I can give him -1 to hit, and that's like part of his plan. Whereas,
yeah, that's what I'm saying is like
he's
don't
not just like throwing Tiggy in a list.
Yeah,
like Chad was
my
doing.
list.
And then
I've been trying to list without Bobby G. I want to play.
But I take it back. Guard's not specifically good at scoring secondaries. Guard gives up hella secondaries anyway. So if they want to abhor the witch and kill my 25-point Astropass, I don't care.
Because they're taking bring it down against him anyway.
You don't get to abhor the witch.
We're talking about you don't get to abort the witch. That's the problem with the secondary is you can't do it if you don't. So like your one rune priest that he's got cool combos, get 100 attacks, but now you have a secondary you just can't take that is actually really good.
If you go up against Thousand Suns or Chaos.
Well, see, hearing that though,
Tyranids.
I would say that it's not very good versus 1,000 Suns. If you have to kill the whole unit of
or
rubrics,
any characters.
No,
Any
it's
character.
well, there's only 2 characters in most of the lists.
That's 10 victory points.
yeah, and we've
they're 5
established
points each.
synergy.
Yeah,
So let's say
understand.
they're Imperium and they brought Vindicator Assassins,
Yeah, that'd be good.
and they're
I
just
guess.
like, but if they brought one Psyker, it's off the table. Can't
Yeah.
do it.
I don't think it's worth it.
So if
Even-
we exclude Space Marines from this conversation, though, it's probably
no,
That's all Imperium.
Orcs, you probably need it.
you
for the
need
jump.
yeah.
Right, but that's it.
But
Like if you get
but like now the orc list that we just saw was like
Yeah.
all vehicles. So
like that.
Yeah, that one doesn't play anything.
That might have
any
actually
dudes.
been his considerations. Like I can't to jump him. Maybe I don't take boys because like there's like a long line here. Like of if I go up against Tyranids, Thousand Suns, Demons, Grey Knights, there's a few armies that you want this secondary against, and is one psyker in your army with a cool little combo really worth it?
Yeah, I
Like I
can't.
don't even know 3 Astropaths. I mean, you think they are? You're the guard player.
I mean, they're super cheap and
The -1 to hit them.
-1 to hit, +1 to save. You definitely want the +1 to save right now if you're going to try to play tanks, because like
Or Bulgrins.
So I don't know. Like this is up to you.
I can't play Tigarius in any list. I mean,
I don't think
I've been brewing lists without Bobby G that's playing Magus Calgar and Tigarius and a chaplain and just Tiggy. He's so good for his points and his psychic powers, telepathic assault is gross, but like I want to have access to it in case I play against demons or Death Guard or anything that has psychers at all. I'm like, well, there's an easy 10.
Well, you got to be careful because if it's anything that has psychers at all, like Death Guard, what psyker? They have like 1 psycher, maybe 2.
Too.
Yeah.
But the thing
They
is,
play their Demon Princes.
the characters and those are not in the same category. So then each character becomes worth like 6 or 8 points.
Yeah, because like
Yeah, because if you kill a character
Yeah.
and a
Yeah,
psyker, that's
exactly.
true. If you take the character,
That's
and
where
psyker.
it starts to get you.
that's
or like
But then
his-
again, if you fall into that trap and he's playing 2 characters, I mean,
Well,
you got
When I play
6 points off
when I
of
play
your...
against Zach, my Lord of Change, Grand and Clean one, and the other Lord of Change, we're all worth 13 points each.
because bring it down, they're monsters.
Yeah.
So
He
bring it
didn't,
down.
kill them, but they were.
It could happen.
I got mopped that game.
But if he kills
the
one,
plan-
that's
but the plan
13
was-
points.
Yeah, Troy had.
I took While We Stand We Fight because they're hard to kill.
Yeah.
So that's 5 points.
He took
taken.
characters in the Boar the Witch.
So he takes away 5 and gets 13. That's an
Monsters.
18-point
No,
swing.
he gets 8.
No, he gets, and
he
he's
takes
5
5
from
away
killing
from
the
me.
psyker.
What I'm saying is, but they're worth 5 for killing it. 3
Yeah,
for
he's saying
assassinating.
13 is the 5
Oh.
taken away.
No, he aboard the Witch too. They
He
were worth
bored the
13
witch
each.
as well.
Oh, okay.
He bored the witch,
Oh my
and he
God.
brought
That's
it
what I
down.
said. Killing one of those would have put 13 points one way or the other.
Yeah. That's pretty rough, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought you could abhor the witch against anybody. I didn't realize you had to not take psychers.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't have
And
psyker.
You forgot
that
to
made
read
it
that
seem
line.
that made it seem way less good than because initially I was like, this is amazing versus all psyker armies, but to just be like, I'm gonna not take psychers, like I don't think it's that insane, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I
definitely
thought
one
it
to
was
consider.
gross at first because I was like, well, it's definitely like obviously something to think
When
about.
it's
But
good, it's really good, and a lot of times they'll be completely irrelevant because a lot of armies are not playing any psychers right now.
Right.
yeah, and just because they have a psyker in there doesn't mean you snap take it.
I agree with that too.
You need to be able to get like 10 points. Like we said, 10 points off of it.
Like same thing with Bring It Down. Like there's people aren't playing a lot of vehicles or monsters, but when you play against that one person,
But Bring It Down is just like I threw it on like an exalted source or on a Airyman, a demon prince, and the Helldrake.
While we stand, we fight.
Yeah, and
You
it's
don't
like
get to choose.
well, those are the three most expensive units in my.
Well, you do if they're tied, but
Yeah, but like it's just how you build your army.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that seems insane. Like these two characters should never be able to be shot at, or I've already lost the game. Like if those guys can be shot at, I've made terrible mistakes this game. So I just did not anticipate. Like I didn't think of While We Stand We Fight on the scale of like just being able to put it on a cheap character.
I
like-
can.
Like an all troop. Like if you go away from vehicles, like all troops, like Space Marines, like Chad's been doing.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like-
You've had your transports, but
I can
then all of a
almost.
sudden captains become.
Yeah, it's
With
so good.
Two
Like,
captains with the jump packs and Bobby G, I can almost guarantee to get it. Leave the captains in deep. I know I want them on play.
You're gonna
but,
lose 5 for Bobby G.
You could theoretically keep Bobby G back to defend the back and leave the captains in deep strike for 2 turns, and on turn 3 bring him down. And it's like, well, you have 2 turns to kill all 3, or there's 15 points.
Yeah,
It is possible. You could
possible.
not do it.
Yeah, you can't keep Bobby G off the.
No, he wants to. His sword is on fire. It wants to go forward.
But I think domination's better than I gave it credit for.
yeah,
yeah.
agreed.
I think Recon's worse.
I think everybody's leaning on recall.
Everybody
or they-
wants to use
whatever
engage on all fronts.
Engage on all fronts.
Engage on all
I think
That's the
everybody's
strategy.
leaning on it really hard right now because everybody thinks it's super easy to get. So I'm starting to target people playing the
Yeah,
like
Well,
just keep them out of a corner and
yeah, it's only 2 points a
It's
turn.
only 2 points.
like everybody's like bringing a plane or maybe 2 planes to try to make it easier to get that stuff till their board gets there. So just knock them out of that one. It's an easy one to deny.
Yeah,
I
no,
think I agree
that's
with
what I'm
that
saying.
as
That's
well.
why.
it's also an easy one that like goes along with the strategy of 9th edition. Like you want to be mobile, you want to be forward.
I agree.
So it's an easy pick, in that regard, it is easy to deny. I agree.
I think too many people are leaning on it.
But
thinking
taking
that
2
they-
planes just try and get it is probably not going to work.
Or,
Yeah.
or you have like 3 squads of fast bikes. You're like, okay.
Yeah, 2 squads of fast
And then I
bikes,
just
2
kill your
interceptors,
bikes
and then they
and
just
you're
die.
like,
And what do I do?
I think
You know?
if your army is fast and that's your plan, you're going to be moving forward.
Sure.
Like, it's fine. But if
it's
you're
not-
taking a couple models to try and pull it off, it's probably
It's
not going to
not
work.
universal, and people need to quit acting like
And
it.
if you go to a tournament, like people are going to see that immediately, like, oh, he's got 2 planes, he took engage. But
Yeah.
the rest of his army moves 5 inches. Like,
I mean,
okay,
it's a pretty known consensus that everybody knows that one's good, but make sure that you could actually score it consistently, and you're not leaning on something pretty.
Don't take it
Well,
just to take it because
like-
it's the flavor of the week.
Well, Chad killed one of I don't know if Anvil's plan was to take it, but he had one
He did take it.
flyer one game, and he took it.
Yeah, and
and
killed-
Chad just shot the flyer.
I'm
on the
like,
first
well,
turn, and
I
then
don't
it's
want
like-
that over here.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know if that was in his list, so Anvil could score that objective. Like I don't know. I think he was just testing out that game, but he happened to take it knowing he had a flyer, and he just shot the flyer, and then
Yeah.
Then you're screwed.
Well, my
You did
thing.
the Chad with his bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted
My
to
thing
run
with
my
it-
bikes up there, and they just he got to him first, and I didn't hide him good enough, and they just died. And I got it for one turn, but then that was it.
So I noticed I'm just spreading, like a lot of these armies are pretty elite in general, and you're really spreading your army thin. So not only can you just block it, like you said, but if people are playing deep strike stuff, they can pretty easily clear up one, even if you think it's clear for a minute. You're really not as safe as you think you are. I don't know. I just feel like whenever I'm trying to recon, that I'm thinning my forces out, and I do feel like even though this is a super mobile format right now, I still want to have like somewhat of a Death Star movement. Like I want to have some consolidated firepower, because most armies don't have the staying power to just spread all their forces out. Like I initially thought, because like when we first talked about it, I was like, yeah, take a couple fast things,
Right.
park them in the four
I
corners.
think people are still doing that, and it's
That's
It's
that's an
becoming
easy
more
way
and
to
more-
lose real quick.
Like-
Well, we were talking. I think you have to do it because there aren't enough secondaries in the categories. Because I think, to be honest, I think the actions are bad. All of them are bad.
They're really hard.
I tend to agree with that.
So they're just all bad. So you're just like there's only like a couple you can choose because you're just like all the actions are bad. I got,
I think you take the one where you have 2 units in your opponent's deployment zone or whatever.
Linebreaker.
I think Linebreaker is
really
tougher
hard
than
to do.
Engage.
So engage on all fronts,
So that's why
Linebreaker,
people-
and Domination are all in the same one.
So if it's a
I think Linebreaker is definitely the hardest.
See, I feel like
And-
Engage has just felt super. Like, I've been flying my Drake around counter Engage on all fronts, people,
I think Domination's better,
because I don't have a super.
See, domination. It
dependent on how many objectives
and the
there
mission.
are.
Yeah, it depends
That
on the
one
mission.
really depends on the mission.
Depends on the mission and your army. But so I think that's why a lot of people have to get kind of shoved into engaging all fronts because you're like, well, I'm going to be moving
But
forward.
engaging all front, like it's just the quarter. It's not. You don't have to be deep in their zone.
You just have to be
can
barely
in
past the
You can be in the
middle.
middle of the table still. Which
Wholly
is generally
within
where
No,
the
you can't be in the
corner,
middle.
6 inches away from the middle.
You
No, I mean middle as in like the
The center line.
non-deployment zone area. Like obviously you have to be 6 inches away from the middle. That's part of the thing. But on the sides, which is generally there's an objective over there anyway. So like, yes, it's hard. But like we said, they're all hard.
They are.
What we're
They
doing
are
with the
hard.
secondaries, I think all the shadow operations, raise the banners, investigate sites, all traps. They're all
I
just
think
bad.
Is the teleport Homer not in the mission pack?
It is. It's just called Teleport Homer, not Repair Teleport Homer. It's at the top.
I think that one's playable.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Because you get 5 points every time you pull it off.
Yeah.
But I don't think every army can
If
pull
you
it
could
off.
just
I think raise the banners is a super trap, and investigate sites, along with the
I think that one and the psychic one.
The one in the psychic one where you have to be in the middle of the board. is-
Deploy scramblers.
Because you have to get
That's another one.
psychic ritual and
Whichever
teleport
one's in the opponent's,
one.
the one that has to be behind enemy lines.
Linebreaker.
Yeah.
Linebreaker's behind
the
the lines.
action one.
Oh, the
Teleport Homer.
Deploy
Yeah.
Scramblers
Okay.
is the other one. That's the middle one. And then Teleport Homer is behind the enemy
Yeah,
lines.
that one I think is playable. The deploy scramblers ones is
And psychic ritual where you have to pull it off. You have to.
All
you
the
get
Psyker ones are bad.
No, I think the interrogation one can be good. You just need to have a lot of psychers. Like if you have
Yes.
one psyker, don't plan on
Don't
doing
take it, yeah.
But the psychic ritual is just impossible. You get no points if you don't do it, like every turn or 3 turns or whatever. And if they see you going for it, it's easy to.
That's their
I
target.
think Deploy Scramblers, the one with the middle, like, it could have been good.
What is deploy scrambling?
It's basically the same thing as the teleport.
you have to
But-
keep people out of the middle of the objective.
See, I think that's like,
That one's really hard.
yeah, that's got to be like one of the hardest ones to do.
But I think if, like, it's all objective based, like, and mission based, like No Man's Land, when we had it Monday, if I would have took that and mission for No Man's Land is control the middle, and I make the whole game about controlling the middle,
Then you're-
it could have been good.
Like he can't be within 6 inches. So you
I'll
just can't
call-
do that action.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is he can just get within range
If
and
it's all-
negate it.
yeah, if it's
Like, you're
all
not
about
gonna
the-
kill everything.
That entire plan you have there is relying on you making 3-ups to keep Bobby G alive.
Sure.
Because everything else is going to die.
Like the entire game, I'm gonna put all my 4-up invulnerable dudes versus your 1-3-up invulnerable dude, and we're gonna see who wins.
And even if you both
Even if I
make-
shoot everything, I mean, his
yeah,
guys
yeah,
are going
even if
through
you
it.
both make all your saves, you don't get that because he is still in the middle.
Yeah.
You have to
I
have
have to keep
nobody.
him clear.
Yes, it has to be
Well,
cleared.
I think the
I
best
think-
strat versus
I think if he just put his intercessors there with Bobby G, he could just clog up the 6 inches and Zach can't get in.
you just kill the intercessors.
I will totally kill
Those-
someone.
So I'm just saying he just jams a bunch of bodies in the middle.
He doesn't have
I'm saying I put like 1,500 points in the middle,
That's something like
we-
Termagants could do.
and then we rumble, and the winner is the winner. I'm not saying it's a good strategy. I'm
That's
saying
a terrible
That's a
strategy.
terrible
in that
strategy.
game, well, it
Yeah,
was
that's what
it
I'm
would have
saying.
been better than what I did.
Plus, you have to get there before him. You guys were going to get there at the same time.
You had
and,
3 HQs on one side of the board. That was a mistake.
It's
Like,
'cause,
if you
yeah,
look, remember that game, his guys were in the building.
So we're
By
not-
the time you would have got to the middle, he would have been in the middle. And then you would have to kill those Terminators just to start doing that action.
And you aren't killing the Terminators.
Right. And if you do, you're not doing it before turn 4. Which case you're not getting any number of good
you
points
get
out of that.
9.
But I feel like all the actions are bad.
They could be, yes.
I don't
I
like
agree.
I think the repair teleport Homer is playable. The rest of them.
Well, you said that because you play Custodes and they're indestructible.
I think it's.
No, I use it more for Blood Angels.
I think it's
Deep
good
strike
for
in the
me
back.
too. Like I just deep strike the captain for 2 turns and then bring it in, put it in a building.
If you've got a little
moved up.
guy that you can hide that isn't relevant to your army, it's definitely worth. Or a durable unit.
Yep.
But it's hard to do.
It's not easy. But
And you're
it's
likely
the
to get,
most playable out of those.
Yeah,
if
raise
you
the
do it
banners
twice, you
and
get
stuff.
10 points. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the bar.
The raise the banners and stuff is.
But I think
So I think like when I look at secondaries, I just never look at those. I'm just like, unless I have to, because it's like I've tried raise the banners and you get 3 points, 4 points. It just underperforms.
Thin the ranks, I think, is underrated.
I agree. Underrated that.
where I wanted to go next is look for combos that you can do. Like bring it down and thin the ranks actually combo fairly well together. So every big vehicle you kill gets you an additional point.
thin the ranks, I think, is worth taking if you can get like 6 to 7 points.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be killing stuff anyway. That's your plan. And a lot of armies, like when we go against Custodes, it's just really hard to pick secondaries against that list. And sometimes you just be like, well, not against Custodes because you only get like 2 points.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you can't find one that you like that you think you can do, you're always going to kill stuff. So you get some points out of that.
I agree with our assessment of like your army has to be able to do something. Of the secondaries, your army should be good at least one.
I think
Because
that's
I honestly think we should be building our list to be self-sufficient on 2 because the rest of
I
them
agree.
Really
I
hard.
always go
Yeah.
on 2. Like I'm always trying to
which
figure
is
out
why I
2.
think you see so much engage on all fronts because it's the one you can look at and be like,
Well,
my
I can
army
do that,
this.
It's just really ask yourself if you can do that because you probably can't do it as good as you think you can.
And
Like
the
Zach was
question you
talking
need to
about.
ask is not can you do it. It needs to ask, can you do it while your opponent knows you're trying to do it?
And while they're trying to do it at the same time.
If it's a couple weak squads that just get wiped out, you can't do it.
So I think one of the things I'm on right now trying is the teleport Homer thing. Just requires you to be in their line, and you have to do the
You have to be
action for
in
2.
their deployment zone
Yeah.
and do the action, and
So-
it has to live till your next turn.
Yeah. So what I've been messing around with is that big blob of rubrics, just being like to jump them into the back of their line like late game, and just be like, can you kill 18 rubrics before I do this for 2 turns? And that's my plan. Like that's 10 points, and
A lot of
then
shooting that you don't get to shoot though.
yeah, they're shooting. I mean, it's against. That's why I haven't played it in. I've only done it one time, and it's because of exactly that. Like, I don't know that I could do it every game, but I've also can still. I'm definitely leaning on the keep my characters alive thing, for sure. And I still think, like, I would play the be on the line breaker one because I've got dark matter crystal and the jump effect and the forward operatives. Like my army's extremely forward mobile, and it's I'd rather condense my army to like one table corner on their side of the board and go on there past their line rather than split it up between the 2 corners of their board because I have a lot of lord effects or stuff like psychic powers that I want things to be in range of each other. So for my list, it's harder to spread out. So I would rather just try to be like, I'm gonna get 2 units in your deployment zone and bank on that.
And we're talking about 2 different ones because the tournament pack Teleport Homer only gives you 4,
That's
and
true.
Repair Teleport Homer in the book gives
Gives
you
you 5. Yeah.
So, well, tournament pack is what we're usually gonna play, so you get 4 out of it. But even then,
Even the
You get
8 is still the 8 is still the goal.
you get 8
And Teleport Homer in the book says infantry and or on the tournament pack says infantry, and Repair Teleport Homer is anybody.
Yeah. Well, I do. Yeah, mine's infantry. So
You sure?
Reading it right here.
Okay. I thought only infantry can do actions.
I've been using it in Blood Angels. And I just deep strike Lamarty's. He's 100 points. You just put him in a building in their back line if they want to come rumble with him.
Let him do it.
holds
he
his
brings the
own.
pain. Yeah, he definitely brings the pain.
And
You know, you
just
just make
put
him so he can't be shot at, and so they have to come and melee with him, and he's fine at that.
I've been trying it with a slam captain. I mean, come in there and fight the Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, wielding guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
He's got 3
the
up
one
save.
character that you can hide makes sense over like a squad that's.
Well, you have to do it with the infantry. It says.
Well, but
But the characters are infantry.
Yeah, that's true. They are infantry.
You
Yeah.
just hide a guy back there.
Yeah, I can see that
Is
if
it-
you can
is it
do that.
better
I
to
think
hide
Blood Angels
one?
are like the only army that I guess if you deep strike, but they're the only army that can
Deep
do it
strike,
like
yeah.
during the game.
so you're saying it's better to hide one than hide a bunch? Like, because like in NIDS could even do it. Like, let's just take a squad of these guys, kill 30 of them, Can you kill 30 of them? No? Okay, I got it.
If they're playing aggressive with flamers, yes.
Yes. And, well, it's also a lot harder to get 30 dudes in their deployment zone
Well, no.
that are 9 inches away from all their, like, you got to think of that logistically. Like, that's a hard one to
But if
pull
you
off.
take it and they're leaving stuff back to stop you from it, I mean,
Most people are leaving stuff back anyway. Like, that's just how you play the game. You don't want your whole army in front.
it could change. I mean, you can just by
I
taking
believe Zach's beat you like 4 times because you did that.
just by taking that secondary.
It was only close last time because he wasn't allowed to
But
do
if
it.
you know what you're doing and you
But that's the thing with that
just-
secondary.
Yeah, just take that secondary. If you just take it and you think you can do it, it'll change
It's
how
only
the
worth
entire
trying,
game is
for sure.
played.
Like-
It should.
You should be doing a lot of testing before you go into a tournament. So
Yeah. And if you
should
take that.
know more than anybody what your list can
But
pull off.
basically, while we stand, we fight. We
A lot better than we initially gave it.
We thought it was the worst, and it is probably the best.
It's still kind of army dependent. But
It is
yeah.
definitely army dependent.
If you're heavy vehicles, you probably don't want to go into it.
Yeah.
No. I
What
was,
your vehicles are telling them, Jeff.
Yeah, it's like I was looking at AdMech and they're like, "What's your most expensive unit?" And I was like, "Well, if I play murder boats, it's those. They don't have invulnerables. They just give." So it's like, it's not what you want.
Back to
But
dumpster fire.
When we first did the whole secondary breakdown, we said build your list for 1. And now I really think you need to build your list for 2.
I agree. You should build your list for, honestly,
3 if you can.
3, and because you're only going to be able to take one of those, 2 of those 3
It's hard to
probably
do it for
any
3,
game.
but you could conservatively build a list. Like, I'm going to get these 2 secondaries.
Don't settle for 1, 100%. I
settle for
definitely
one.
agree with you there.
You gotta
One-
you gotta have one that you know you can do.
That's what I'm saying. I think you
Have
to
to
know.
have one.
And
that
now I think you need to know
you need
2.
to have 2.
Yeah, I agree. You need to know 2.
The
Knowing
way
one
primaries
is,
are, they're so swingy because you can just get knocked off it before you score it. They have a whole phase before you score.
yeah.
So it's just
Don't be
you
afraid.
need to get your points out of here.
Don't be afraid to take the mission secondary either. 'Cause
agree.
They're,
They're all pretty good.
They're all pretty good. I mean,
I agree with that. That's why I said build for 2 and then let your opponent dictate you which third one you get.
Hopefully you have a good.
And if they give you 2 that are better than your, like,
one
you could always adjust, but
Yeah.
go in having a plan when you build your army list from day 1. When you build your list, plan to do 2 solo, and then let your opponent figure out.
And turn off like as many of them. Like, don't just, if you ideally can. Obviously, there are restrictions. Like Xenos lists are way more restricted on what they have available to take. But if you have the options, like be conscious of what all you can turn off.
That is true too.
And in the like, it's not just what you can take. It's like what can you, like, how hard can you make it for your opponent to score secondaries?
Yes.
While still doing what you want to do. Like, that is super relevant. Like, don't just play a neat vehicle if you're trying to win, obviously.
Which is why like a headhunter is actually not near as good as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because most people are bringing 1 detachment, 2 HQs or less.
Yeah. I went from 4 to 3, and honestly, if I could have afforded it, I would drop down to 2. Like, I would do a 1 and 1 HQ. It's just the 2 HQs I want to keep the most are in Thousand Suns, so I have to take another one.
They've actually made it pretty hard to bring a lot of characters.
yeah, I agree.
So
And it punishes you. Like,
Yeah.
like that is.
It's assassinate.
Yeah. Assassinate
Whenever I
is
can
the
take it,
thing.
I do.
Like, how many characters you got? 5? Yep, assassinate. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get 3. Like, if I don't, I'm losing anyway.
We haven't really seen. Like, I was just thinking about what assassinate would be great against was like the old school kind of guard list where you had 3 HQs and then you
Yeah.
had 3 elites that were. platoon
I mean, if he's playing
commanders.
3 tank commanders, definitely taking it.
Well, they used to play
Right.
3.
Double up
Then you
on
get
Grant.
ready
Then
to-
there was-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
6 points.
I'd be like, killing a vehicle, killing HQ, and if he plays Bring It Down, deny him 5 points. Or
I don't
still
care.
while we
I
stand,
took-
we fight, but you wouldn't take
I
that.
took
That'd be
six-
terrible.
You'll take bring it down and then the ranks and assassinate and just
There's your-
every tank you kill is like 100
Actually,
points.
you could abhor the witch
Yeah, you
against
can
Ash
boil the
list
witch
because you're playing the
against
Astropath. So.
I would not plan on killing Ash. Like, he can hide them so easily. Like,
You
I would
definitely
I would just kill the stuff that
that.
I could
Take the
shoot
ranks and
at
bring it
always.
down, yeah, for sure. Against-
But I was like, they're 5 points apiece.
They are.
Like, that's pretty good.
They
For,
are.
something
It's just
that's not
like-
very durable.
You got to be able to get back there to them.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've gotten back there to them through all of his firepower, you already killed everything, so you won.
You probably
Like,
win in, yeah.
I'm going to play more guard here soon to really,
I will want you to field some guard.
to really tweak on it. Now that I've got custodies where I want to start.
You know, we did forget a game in the games. Zach played a game against himself this week.
Yeah.
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 And he won.
I don't think Zach
And he
wanted to
won.
tell everybody that.
He won in. Hey, look.
I had
Sometimes
some
you're
time
all by
Sunday
yourself.
afternoon, and I wanted to play some Custodies, so I played Custodies versus Guard. Guard loses bad. Bad.
What was bad about it?
I played a Shadow Sword
Oh, well,
Because-
that's what was bad.
because I was like, maybe it's not as bad as I thought it would be.
It was.
And it is.
Yeah. Well, that's like 700 points,
Well,
isn't it?
especially against an army that's all 4-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got like 30 bolter shots, so I was like I put out a lot of firepower, and it just
Yeah,
Now think about that game. And what if the heavy bolters were 2 damage? Do you think it would be better?
no, they just make all their saves. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, but see, what if you played against Marines where those boulders might kill stuff?
That makes it a lot better, but
Yeah.
No,
At the
the
same
Marines get
time-
the same save. They get a 4 against bolters. The same thing.
no, but every time that goes through, it kills one.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 damage.
yeah, but Zach's guys get 3-ups against it.
Oh, that's true.
Actually, they had 2 ups.
They also
Yeah, they
have
can ignore.
They also have feel no pains and stuff. Like
It was not great. Like
I just thought it was he had enough to play against himself and not lean one way or the other. Like it felt like when he was talking about it later that he legitimately like, okay, I'm going to do like he switched turns. Now he's going to do what he should actually do. He didn't favor one army. Like he was skilled enough.
Well, he definitely favored Custodes because he took a Shadow Sword.
But
I wanted to try the Shadow Sword list, so
but
I think
it
if it's
felt-
not a knight, super heavies are not worth it. Well, knight or Primarch.
I just thought it was neat
Yeah,
that he had
Primarchs are
enough-
probably still good.
He had enough mental fortitude to like when the turn switched, he was
Yeah,
a different
he was
person. Yeah, he was a guard player and he was a custodes player, but like he didn't favor one over the other. He really wanted to know who won, so he played the game strategy wise and secondary wise.
Neither side had spiky bits, so he didn't have to choose.
Okay.
So it's just like whatever.
I
Dull guys versus dull guys. Got it.
Well, what side
Do
shining?
we have anything else on secondaries?
think
I think I'm good. I just mostly build your list for 2
And raise the banners is a trap.
and raise the
Raise
banners.
Bear is
trap.
definitely a trap.
I think all the actions are a trap. That's
well, that was the only one that we were.
The middle
most
one-
people were.
the middle one's
While we
rough.
stand, we were fight, and raise the banner should be flip flopped on our tier list
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
definitely
Yeah.
mix those 2 up.
Yeah, it just seems so good. I will say there are people that are talking about that have like armies with a lot of elite and heavy and stuff like that slots that are using their infantry slots or their troop choice to still try and raise the banners.
I think you could raise the banners, but it's just not. It's so easy to knock people off the.
It is. I just
Maybe it could be our local meta is just so tuned in on speed and knocking people off of things.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Which
like, I played against Chad. He ran his Outriders up. Or no, you put
I put assault intercessor squad, assault intercessor squad, raise, and
and I
then
blew him off. I shot him off 2 of them.
dead, and now then the next turn they were gone. Like
You got enough speed to clean up because you have to be able to get there to take it back.
yeah, the only thing I've been reading on is like, which Necrons are not super deep right now. They need their 9th edition to really get the bump. But they're basically still taking the battalion there, and that's one of the units where they're doing destroyers, tomb blades, and moving up super fast, and then just parking their 5-man squads on those and trying to raise the banners because they can't really do anything else in this meta.
Also, if your plan is I'm going to raise the banners, and you get one of those, and you have stuff that deep strikes and like Nurglings or scouts or whatever, and then you get no man's land and you
I
can't
don't know if
deploy
those are-
out of your deployment zone, like
Well, that's a book mission, but yeah, that does really hinder.
Nurgle-
I don't think that really should be a book mission. It's kind of weird.
still like if you
I think we've just rolled it more.
if you get the mission where you can't deploy out of your deployment zone or something is affecting deployment or how you move on the first turn
You
at
can't
all,
really-
Also, raise the banner is super dependent on going first.
and if there's only 4
It is
objectives,
really easy to roll back in and just take it back.
yeah, if there's only 4 objectives as well, and your plan is to raise the banners, I mean,
Well, it
2
takes
of
a whole
them's going
turn to raise it
to be.
anyway, so you just get shot off before they can get up.
Right, but if you're standing, like if I put 1 custodian guard on that objective, it doesn't matter. Your 30 plague bearers walk over there; they can't raise the banner.
He is objective
even though
secure.
you hold the objective, you can't raise the banner until you kill my dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they ain't ever gonna kill my dude. So
That is part of it. Is really hard to raise the banner. You can't raise the banner if enemies in range, right? That's the rule.
Yep.
So it's just they can just get there
That was the
and just
strategy.
take
Be
it
annoying.
away.
A custodian
like you
captain just
you'll
sat
be
there.
scoring the points for it, even like the primary points.
Yeah.
But you can't do your secondary because there's.
That's what I did. He just ran the dreadnought against me.
Yeah, I just
I
ran-
had 30 plague bears. but I can never get the banner up because I can't kill a Telemon in combat.
He had a captain on one, and like my two squads of intercessors aren't killing
But
that
for the record,
thing.
getting to the objective doesn't stop the banner reading. Once you start it, you can't start it. But if you already started it and then you charged on the point, like it still goes up.
Yeah.
But he was trying to put his plague bearers on the center point objective. I advanced my Telemon, got there first. Doesn't matter that he held it the whole game.
Well, no, I'm just saying that Troy was saying like, well, it's just easy to get there. It's like, well, you have to get there before they do.
Or get there with more. Like if you just take it back, they don't finish the action.
Yeah. But outside of that, you know.
So I think if you can find, like we've said before, mobile. They don't have to be infantry, but just mobile units, you can easily stop. Raise the banners.
Yes.
And engage on all fronts. Both.
Nah, engage on all fronts.
You have to kill.
You got to kill their stuff. Like all they got to do is get there. They don't have to do any actions or anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. We definitely maybe we'll end up changing them again in 3 more weeks of gameplay. I don't know.
Visit this like once a month, probably.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Always a trap.
It is episode 10, so that's kind of cool. We're 10 weeks into doing it. Yay! Wait, does it work?
Oh, yeah. But you weren't ready for that.
So yeah, we will. Let's go ahead and do our socials. Zach,
Mr. Fingerguns on Twitter.
Troy,
At Viking Hard on Twitter.
Anvil,
At Evilbeard on Twitter.
Chad,
At Chad B. McKenzie on Twitter, Twitch, everything.
and mine's BR1NXL on Twitch, LBR1NXL on Twitter, and then we obviously have the Facebook page, the Discord, and the email tacticalreserves@gmail.com. Our question of the week: what secondary has changed your? What have you changed your opinion on? Which secondary has changed your opinion the most? That's what I want to know. Are you on the same page as us, or if you're on Raise the Banners, what are you doing to make it good? Like, let me know what it is and why it's good, because we're constantly trying.
Had success with it.
Huh?
I don't think anybody in our group's had success with it.
No one has had success with it, and we've had success with a lot of the other ones.
Yeah, and a secondary question: if you're playing a Horde army, what are you playing right now? I want to know. I want to know how you're doing it, because this meta seems absolutely savage. So have a good one, and we'll see you guys next week.